The revolution's begun. The time to stand up has come. We are the rocking of the throne. We are the rocking of the throne.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Revolutionary Roundtable on the Revolt Against Plutocracy page. We are the organization behind Bernie or Bust, and now CFAR 2018. And Jenny Marshall is joining us. She is a candidate for North Carolina's 5th District, and she signed a CFAR contract. So I will start out with asking you why you signed the CFAR contract.
Well, I think it's just important to be accountable to the people, and the things that were in the contract were common sense, community building platforms that I agreed with.
Right. And are there any in particular that are more important to you or your voters?
Well, obviously we need to increase wages because the poverty level in the 5th District is way beyond what it is in just North Carolina in general, and outstrips the national level by about 5%. We actually have sections of the 5th District that have 26% poverty rate. So making sure that we have livable wages is very, very important.
Mm-hmm. In a few minutes, we'll have Charles Douglas joining us, and he's been working on the Poor People's Campaign in North Carolina. So I'm sure he'll have a lot more to say about that. So your opponent in the primary is Denise D. Adams, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
How will you be able to use CFAR in the primary? Your opponent hasn't signed a CFAR. How do you think that you might be able to use that to appeal to voters?
Well, I mean, we're definitely making distinctions between the two campaigns that we're running. Councilwoman Adams feels that $10 an hour is an inadequate push initially for minimum wage, where I view the Fair Wage Act to be something that we really need to sign on and get accomplished in the 116th Congress, and that would increase wages to $15 an hour over 7 years. So that's one major difference, is that we look at how we need to raise wages and how aggressively we need to pursue that in a very different way. She feels like we need to make college and public colleges and universities more affordable, where I think we need to push for tuition free. We need to start investing in our future. We need to start investing in young people, and that includes expanding, our public school funding to encompass public colleges and universities.
Mm-hmm. We had another candidate here in North Carolina, Wendy May, and an activist friend of hers, Janice Covington Allison, get the name right this time.
Yes.
And she was really talking a lot about how the DCCC was really trying to keep progressives down in North Carolina. And I just wondered if you've experienced any of that yourself, and so do you want to share anything with that if you have?
We have not had any kind of experiences with the DCCC trying to put their finger on the scales in this race. We contacted the DTRIP early on, and they were not looking at this race as in any kind of way that there could be a contentious, way to win against Virginia Fox. So they were just not concerned with the Democrats that wanted to run in this race. We feel differently about it. We know that there was a redistricting in 2016. We know that we are within the margin of error between Republicans and Democrats. And we know that we need to turn out unaffiliated voters. Mm-hmm. And those are people who are not affiliated and not swayed by the DTRIP's methods of persuasion. Mm-hmm. So we're moving ahead.
So would you say you are kind of appealing probably more to some of those unaffiliated voters?
Yeah, I would say so. About half of the people who come into this campaign as a volunteer, supporter, donor are from unaffiliated statuses. So they are the people that we need to reach to help support our efforts to unseat Virginia Foxx.
Yeah, I just believe independents, unaffiliated voters are a force to be reckoned with. I mean, it's half the country now. I'm sure you heard the big news about Tim Canova deciding to run as an independent in
Yeah,
Florida.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Have you ever
Yeah, and-
considered that, or?
I haven't. The way the district is shaped and the immense, the immense coverage that we have to get accomplished, I really wanted to work within the Democratic Party because they've established mechanisms in order to get out the vote. And frankly, I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I believe in democratic principles, and I believe in our platform. I sit on our party's platforms and resolutions committee as the 5th district representative. So I'm one of those people that helps to kind of, along with the people of the district, craft what we stand for as a Democratic Party. And I've never felt a need to break away from that.
So locally, you feel like they're on board with where you are?
Yes, I do.
That makes sense.
I do.
Yeah,
And
I love the way Tim put it, though, was that, at least for him, what he experienced was that he said I didn't leave the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party left me. But
Yes.
it's a huge country, and all these districts have different demographics and different things to deal with and better ways to run. So part of why I love CFAR is that it really just cuts across party lines and focuses on the issues. And so we support, any candidate that is for the things on the CFAR, which are really everything that majority of Americans want.
Right. And I've heard pretty terrible stories from other places, other candidates telling me, when they're trying to run in a Democratic primary, how the parties choose who they want to represent them, that they endorse pre-primary. And I'm really appreciative of the fact that North Carolina has a very strong stance about endorsing, as far as party officials, before the primary. And, I do appreciate that. And I will have to say that for the vast majority of people within the 5th district, that did happen. We did have an instance where we had someone within the Democratic Party leadership help candidates as a consultant on different campaigns, and I find that very unfortunate. But it was an isolated one-person incident, and obviously the people that she was helping their campaigns, but it was only one person, and it was taken care of in I think a good manner.
Well, that's actually encouraging to hear. We hear so much bad stuff,
Yes.
So that's encouraging to hear. So I know that you signed the contract for American Renewal, I think before we had added 2 new things. So these actually were added just in the last couple of months. But anyway, one of them is and I forgot the exact wording. Anytime there is a fatality by a police officer, that it's mandatory they bring in a special prosecutor, federal prosecutor. And so that's one. I felt strongly we needed something criminal justice on the contract, and it wasn't there before. So that is now there. I'm going to guess that you would probably agree with that item also, or would you like to talk about it? Or?
Actually, I think that's a great idea. We have been talking as a team about the need for kind of an independent oversight, not just the internal review that the police departments have of their own members, but somebody from the Department of Justice that would come in and really look at the case and make a determination. And they have no ties necessarily to either the judges, the prosecutors, or the police officers, sheriff's departments, what have you, themselves. So they're really independent. They work independent, and they're doing this because they know that the citizens need to have, you know, what am I trying to say? The citizens really need to know that they can believe in the system of accountability, and making it part of the Department of Justice just makes sense. Because these people are used to working in those kinds of situations, and that definitely could be oversight, because we know that police officers have to work within the court systems in which they have jurisdiction, and oftentimes that leads to conflicts of interest and hard feelings if things don't go one way or another. And frankly, we need to be accountable.
Right, exactly. It's an additional check and balance, really. I'd like to see it go further, but that's what we have on the contract for now. And the other one that was added, which is obviously on everyone's mind right now, is election integrity. So I'm going to guess you would also be on board with that one.
Yes. We do have a section on our website, the plan that we have for what we feel is necessary for the 5th District in our country, deals with elections, ballot access, gerrymandering, making sure that people's votes are counted, that people have access to the ballots, that we do reforms on, campaign finance reforms, that we make sure that our elections are free from influence, both from big moneyed interests and from people who seek to undermine the voters and their will.
And I'm going to sound especially hard on the Democrats, because I am, and I've voted Democrat 3 out of the last 5 elections. Other 2 were green. But we know now that there have been things like in Tim Canova's case, and we recently on Revolutionary Roundtable, we had Ray Lutz come on from Citizens Oversight Project in California, and sort of he's kind of dealing with what's been going on out there, and that is the Democratic Party doing that. So I think it's important that we look at all sides. We know that the gerrymandering's been a problem for a long time. I followed that in North Carolina for a while, actually, myself. But there are also, I think sometimes when you hear just it's finger pointing, the other side's doing it, and so I just think it's important that we have election integrity, and having audits, maybe public audits, will keep everyone honest everywhere. So I guess you probably heard about the ballot destruction in Broward County.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I did. And I mean, nobody is free from corruption.
Right.
People get in positions of power. They feel like they, are above the law, and that's when things can go wrong. So I think having people being held accountable to the people, being open and transparent are the best ways that we can ensure that our votes are sacred, that they're counted correctly, that ballot integrity is maintained, and that we can move forward.
Right, exactly.
Revolt Against Plutocracy won't just be covering the news about the necessary revolution in the United States. Sometimes we'll be making the news. If you want to stay on top of the revolutionary actions and strategies of grassroots, genuine progressives, and our allies, please subscribe to our YouTube channel today.